Beginning of the 16th century, European explorers faced serious difficulties during their journeys to Asia, as they were forced to take a huge detour due to the American continent. Therefore, expeditions were launched going north along the coastline of Florida, as well as south, following the Brazilian shores to find a passage to India. Unfortunately, all of these expeditions failed. Little was known of the New World, that is, of America back then. A bold sailor from Portugal called Ferdinand Magellan, however, assured the King of Spain of the existence of a westward passage that goes beyond the American continent, and he also claimed to know its location. Although the Spanish court had reservations about Magellan's success, eventually he was able to begin his expedition around the world with 5 ships and 225 men on board on the 19th of September, 1519. Magellan had good reason to be confident. He had got hold of a secret map that described a passage by the, what we call today, Brazilian coasts to the unknown southern sea, which had only been seen by one single explorer. 20 years before, a Spanish explorer called Vasco Núñez de Balboa had reached the land of today's Panama, where the isthmus connecting the Americas is the narrowest. During his expeditions on land, he discovered that a mere 80 kilometers away lay another ocean. His idea was to disassemble his ship on the Atlantic side of the isthmus and reassemble it on the Pacific side. So he became the first European ever to set eyes on the Pacific Ocean. Magellan, however, remained convinced of the existence of the desired passage. Upon arrival, they realized that the map was a fake, and the passage marked on it was only the wide mouth of a river. Today, we know it was the estuary of the river La Plata. Magellan knew that if he gave up and turned back, he would be sent to prison. So he continued his journey despite his mutinous crew. Then he discovered the passage between the South American mainland and the island of Tierra del Fuego, called today the Strait of Magellan. Having sailed through the stormy strait for 6 months, he reached calm waters, which he named the Peaceful Sea at the time. Having left the safety of the coast, he set out on a 100-day journey on the open water without sighting land once. 1/10 of the crew died of scurvy. They ran out of food and drinking water too. The survivors were forced to eat the leather straps of sails and the rats traveling on the ships as stowaways. They reached the Philippines at the last moment and managed to replenish their food and water stocks. Initially, the natives accepted the presence of white people peacefully. They admired their everyday metal objects and swapped them for practically the same weight in gold. Though Magellan did try hard to conduct diplomatic negotiations with the local tribes, he was finally killed in a confrontation. Many of his men were captured and left there. The remaining 31 survivors burned the ships that were left without a crew and set off for home to sail around Africa. The mainmast of the only remaining ship broke, and scurvy started to claim victims yet again. As the Portuguese had been hunting Magellan's fleet, trying to prevent the Spanish from being the first to circumnavigate the earth, they couldn't stop anywhere along the African coastline. They only had enough food left for 3 days when they finally reached the islands of Cape Verde that were under the Portuguese crown. They told the Portuguese that they had been sailing back from America and had experienced difficulties. They replenished their reserves, but when their identity was revealed as the crew from the last ship of Magellan's expedition, they had to set sail in a hurry. Half of the crew was left on the island, and only 18 men on board returned to Europe eventually. A cheering crowd welcomed the battered ship and its ragged crew when they returned to Spain on the 4th of September 1522. After the 3-year journey, they discovered that their diaries showed a day less, since they had gained 1 day by circumnavigating the globe. This expedition was the first to provide evidence of the fact that the Earth was indeed spherical. 400 years later, the Panama Canal was opened, significantly shortening the journeys around the Earth and thus de-emphasizing the use of the Strait of Magellan.